This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
And welcome to SAU Report. I'm Tina Davis.
And I'm Lisa Stegall. Today we're here with Miss Paula Washington Woods, who's the Director of Counseling and Testing and also over the Disability Services here on the SAU campus. Thank you for joining us today. Where is the Counseling and Testing Center?
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's always a pleasure to talk about the Office of Counseling and Testing. Our office is located in Nelson Hall in room 203 on the second floor.
Okay. And now what exactly do you do there?
Our office assists students as well as faculty and staff who may have problems. And when I say problems, I'm kind of hesitant to say that because that puts a stigma on there. But if you have some things that concern you, if it's emotional problems, then our office can possibly assist you with rectifying those problems. Also, we do some academic and educational and career counseling.
Okay.
Mrs. Wood, what techniques are being used to help the campus improve on the ADA facilities?
Okay, that's probably a two-part question because, as you know, ADA is the American with Disability Act, which was passed in 1990. And as a part of that, students with disabilities are going to college. They're no longer just stopping at the high school level, they're going beyond. And one of the things that we try to do is to make the campus physically accessible to them, as well as in the classroom where we provide academic accommodations for them. Recently, in terms of physical accessibility, we have improved sidewalks, we have put in curb cuts, we've installed elevators, we have put in hand ramps, we have enlarged or remodified bathrooms so that students who have physical mobility problems can get in the classroom easier. And on some occasions where the classroom are not accessible, we have moved the class to an accessible building. In terms of academic accommodation, it really depends on what the student's disability is, and some of the accommodations that we have provided have been note takers, books on tape, extended time. We have read tests, we have read books, so it really varies as to what the disability and what that student needs.
Okay. So you personalize the what you do for the students for what it is that they need.
And that requires both for the students with disabilities and students without disabilities. It's a personal touch one-on-one because even students with or without disability may have the same problem, but each disability and each student is different.
Okay.
What types of videos or literature are offered in the counseling and testing to help aid you in your...
For career assessment? Well, first of all, we have a Discover program, which is a computer career assessment program, which is the first step. If a student comes in and undecided what they want to major in, Discover is a real good tool to help them decide their career interests, and then from there they can do some exploration. Or if they know what they want to major in and they just want some more information, Discover is a good program because it has over 200 to 300 occupation lists, gives you information about the job duties, the requirements for school, how much the starting salary is, which is very important to our students. They want to know how much they're going to make. And then from the Discover program, we move into some videotapes that we have. I just recently purchased career entrance videos, which runs from 15 to 20 minutes, so it's not long, that students can use. And then we have books. We have the Occupational Outlook book that tells you what job will be in demand. We have the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, and then we have various books called Opportunity Series, which takes a career and give you all the information that you need about it.
Okay, so what other programs besides Discover are there? Are there any kind of written tests that you send out and you get back? Or are those kind of outdated? You don't really use those anymore?
Well, one thing about Discover is that it has 4 inventories on that you can take online. You can take an inventory in in interests, in values, experience, and work-related activities. So you can you're taking it on computer. But we also use the strong interest inventory, which is a pencil paper, and we send that off and we get the results back. And then occasionally we use like the Myers-Briggs inventory, which is a personality inventory.
Okay. When a student comes into your office, what exactly can they expect? Do they need to make an appointment with you, or can they just come in and they sit down with you, or are there other student workers maybe that talk to them first before they see you?
It really depends. We take appointments and walk-ins. Most time walk-ins are seen unless there's another appointment scheduled. When a student comes in, they will be met by either the secretary or student worker, and just to ask, generally what the problem is, no detail or anything like that, because we maintain confidentiality. And then if one of the counselors are available, then the student at that time is allowed to see the counselor. Or if they want to call and make an appointment, they can do that also.
I understand from reading one of the brochures that the counseling and testing help resolve the personal and emotional issues. Could you, is there a limit to the help that you can give or before acquiring outside help?
It really depends upon the problem as what it is. If it's something that's real genuine, minor, then yes, we can work with them the whole semester or year after year. If it's a problem that needs medical attention in terms of that some medication needs to be prescribed to help the person to do better, then we will refer them out to an outside help.
Okay.
And also if it's really a problem, if it's an emergency type nature, and that may be something like if they're threatening suicide, then yes, we need immediate help.
Okay.
I know student enrollment is up in this year. Has that increased your workload any?
That's a good question, because I have noticed that usually students come see a counselor around midterms and finals. And I have noticed this year that they're starting a little earlier, and I really can't say what that is attributed to. It may be more that they know a counseling and testing center is advisable, is here on campus, and we're willing to help. I hope that's it.
Okay. Exactly what is the purpose of the CAP test, and is it helping the students on the campus?
Okay, the CAP test was set by the state legislators. It's a statewide test. Universities are required to do it. Students who have between hours of 45 and 60 must take this test. As of right now, there's no state requirements. However, SAU has the English proficiency requirements regarding the essay and the writing part. And I think the school, university, is doing some preliminary research into setting cutoff scores for the entire test. As far as helping the students, I think so. It lets them know where they are. It's very similar to the ACT test, so it's not over a particular subject matter, it's over what you have learned over a period of time.
So does that have anything to do with clipping out of something?
No, CLEP is an entirely different test, and I like to tell students that the CLEP test is one where you can get credit for the course without taking the class. And what we have is that there are anything from college algebra to English to some of your history, sociology, psychology, and economics courses that student can CLEP out and get credit for it. There's a procedure that you must register for the test, pay the fee, and in order for it to go on your transcript, you must get approval from 5 individuals on campus, which is outlined on the application.
Okay, so that it's not based on your ACT scores?
No, anybody. If you think you have a proficiency in the areas that's listed and you want to take the test, you can.
Okay.
Is that in the counseling and testing, is it affiliated with any other programs on campus?
We have in terms of, we're part of the student affairs department, so we work with the different agents, different departments on campus. We have one program that works under the umbrella of counseling and testing, and that's the Office of ADAPT, Alcohol and Drug Prevention Team.
So will y'all be involved in the upcoming Say No to Drugs campaign?
During the Red Ribbon Week, he plans activities. That department is headed by Steve Sutton, who plans activities throughout the year to make students more aware and be more concerned of their drinking and drug habits.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
And the hours of this Career Center, does that coincide with yours also?
Our hours are we're 8 to 5, and we're open during the noon hours. So we're always off. We're always open, and we're always there.
Okay.
Do you think that there is a very big problem with drugs here on the SAU campus?
I don't think our campus is probably any different than any other campus with drug abuse. I'm sure there's some, but to the extent of it, I don't think that it's anything that we're leading the country in.
Yeah.
Could you explain to us what are the talking books?
Okay. The talking books are for students who have learning disability, reading, spelling, math, whatever, require sometime that their books be on tape. Whereas you read your textbook yourself, these textbooks are read on tape and the students play them on a special recorder. And so it's just the textbook being read.
Okay.
So if a student wanted to volunteer for that, say, would they just come to you in your office and say,
There are occasions when some of the books, we receive our books from the Recording for the Blind and Dyslexia. There are some times when the books are not recorded as of yet. And in the past, we have been reading those textbooks. And if students who want to volunteer, who are good readers and want to read, we would most certainly welcome their help.
okay.
How is the how do you aid in helping choosing majors as far as the internet? That's one way. But do you have any other activities that go on campus, like after you're in school? Does that take place also?
Well, mainly if a student is undecided what they want to major in, let's say we start with the Discover program, and then once we finish the Discover program, I strongly encourage the student to make an appointment with me, and we sit down and we kind of look at them. We look at what their goals, what do they plan to do 5-10 years from now, what are their interests, how can they convert those interests into a workable plan, are they mobile, do they want to stay in this area, do they want to leave? So we kind of look at the profile of the student and try to help them to decide on something that they may be interested in, and then look at the college catalog, look at the different courses, and is this something that you might want to do?
Is there a certain field that more students are wanting to go into today? I mean, is the job market being flooded, do you think?
I don't think so. I think most students right now are interested in computer. And we have just recently on campus the computer science degree. So most students are really going toward computer. We try to encourage students to look at education, but because of the pay is low for a lot of students, they don't want to, consider that. We have a lot of students in the business field.
Is this just a special part of SAU, or is this on every other campus?
Counseling and testing?
Yes, ma'am.
Most campuses have an office of counseling and testing, just to help students. Sometimes it's divided where you just have a testing and then counseling. Sometimes it's combined.
The programs that y'all use at this counseling and testing, are they the same everywhere? Or?
Well, each campus is unique. I mean, you have to modify your program based on your student bodies. But I would imagine that most schools provide academic, education, and career counseling as well as the testing. And there are quite a few universities who use the Discover program.
I know you can't divulge private information, but are there certain problems that students come to you with more than often the others?
I think it really varies. Some semesters you may have more family problems. Some semesters you may have career problems, roommate problems. So it just varies depending on your student body and who you work with. Because remember, we have a range of freshman students to non-traditional students. So it varies. I wouldn't say one problem is really prevalent over the other.
What about with the non-traditional students or just students that live off campus? Do you see those as often as you do see freshmen, say?
Again, some semesters we see more non-tradition, and then some we don't. And so I really can't say that there's a trend one way or the other. I think it really depends on the semester and what's going on in those student lives.
I know that there are a lot of non-traditional students that have wanted to start a family before they come here. Is SAU looking into getting a child care facility on campus? Or?
That was at one time, I know a year ago, that there's some preliminary discussion. So I think that it's always in the discussion stage just to see what's available and how can it be done. You know, keep in mind that when we talk about daycare, the state has rules and regulations, you know, that we must abide by in terms of infant care. You know, you have to have so many people, the square footage and things of that nature. And I know a lot of students say, you know, to just do it, but there are a lot of regulations that you have to consider.
I know there are a lot of renovations going on around the campus, but are you affiliated with the new stepping on the Bruce Center and all of those types of things, or is that coming from another department besides you?
That's another department in terms of our office provided assistance in helping maybe identifying some problem areas. But if I'm not mistaken, that is the result of Ronnie Birdsong and the physical plant writing a grant which allowed monies to be available to make the improvements on campus.
See, so money is basically why the child care facility can't.
I think money, and then you have to have space and things of that nature. But I think they're talking about it, and it's under consideration.
Right. What kind of internal improvements has the office undergone any time recently that might benefit SAU students?
In terms of our office, we moved from Bruce Center, and if you're familiar with the campus, we were in the area where the organizations and Greek Council meet. So that when we moved to Nelson, it was more space for us, and we greatly appreciate that. Also, we're also housed in the building with the admissions downstairs and registrar, and upstairs we have the Freshman Academic Advising Center as well as the Employment Resource Center. So that's a good location for us to be because we can network with the other offices. For those who are registering, who may need to come down to my office to find some testing, we're on the same floor. Or if you're in my office and you need to go look for a job, then we're on the floor with the Employment Resource Center. And we also have on that floor the International and Alumni and Student Foundation.
Okay, are there different types of brochures that you could come in and get if you are a student a outside person who wants to become a student and help them choose this college more often than not? You know, like from Magnolia, you have the public school here, and I was just wondering, do we have a lot of people from Magnolia High School coming here because of, you know, maybe extra programs that they may be offered through, you know, looking at brochures and seeing that they like this campus better?
Well, each department have their own brochure in terms of what they provide, and so their exposure is there, especially down in the admission department. Especially if a student is interested in coming to SAU, then they usually contact the admission office, who send them like an informational packet which tells something about the school and what's offered. If they contact us directly, for those students who have disability, we have a pamphlet that we send to them, as well as something on Office of Counseling and Testing.
Is there a certain degree that you have to obtain to be a counselor here?
Most counseling position is a bachelor's level, master's, and PhD or EDD.
Okay, and what about the students who come in and help with the counseling and testing? Do they have to have some type of certification to help?
Well, keep in mind that the student workers do no counseling.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they're just there as receptions, you know. Oh, okay. They answer the telephone and take messages. So their contact with students is not in the area of counseling. Okay. They may help proctor a test when we do like a national test, like we do the ACT, but as far as having contact and knowing student business, no.
Are you the ones who are involved with getting the information out about the CAP tests and the ACTs and when they're being taken?
Now, what we have when we do testing, there's two types. There's the National Standardized Test, which is like your ACT, your GRE, the test for licensure for teacher. And then we have what we call institutional tests, and that would be like the CAP test, or if we proctor a test. And so as far as the standard national test, then the testing company sends out information about the admission and when and where to report. If it's the institutional test, then we handle that type of information.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've been here at SAU since 1992, but I've been in probably about 10 years.
Okay. Well, are there different things, different trends that you're seeing now that you didn't see, 10 years ago, 10 years ago?
In terms of, I think students are maybe not sure about careers and what they want to pursue. And so that's always a challenge to help students to try to decide as early as possible what they want to major in. And also you have a lot of requirements that high school that you must pass before coming. They had one time the college route or the tech prep route. And so you have students who come in with various backgrounds that's coming into school now that you may not have had. Everybody really at that time, if you were going to college, you just took the courses that you needed.
I was reading the paper, and it had where we had a considerable increase in students. Do you feel that could be acquired with the drop of the composite score that is needed to get into school now?
No, I think that would have a opposite effect, because we went up.
Okay.
We went up this semester in terms of the AC composite score, and for us to increase, that's good, which means that our student body is getting better in terms of having the necessary skills to do college work.
Are you seeing more students going for their masters now than you did a few years ago?
We do have our graduate department enrollment has grown also, so students are now considering that the BA is not the end, that you must go further and get your master's degree, and if not, go even further than that for your doctorate degree.
As far as the freshmen are considered, what is the level that they top out and have to go to their own advisor? Is that only after they choose what they want to do, or is that before?
I believe now, because that's handled under the Academic Advising Center, but I believe when a student has attained 30 hours or more, then they can go to the advisor of their choice in which they're majoring in.
Do you work very close with the advisors here on campus?
In terms of
personal student needs, I don't know, like how they want to go with their degrees.
No, basically that's the advisors in terms of what they need to get the degree, and then maybe some occupations, because the advisor meets with them. Faculty and staff do refer students to me if they're having a problem, or if they want maybe some more information about it, because we have that material available to them. But as far as doing the academic advising, no, our office does not do that.
Could you tell us, are there any perks working in the counseling testing? Do you form emotional ties that maybe you shouldn't, as far as getting too wrapped up in the problems, or does that happen every once in a while?
Well, I think that if that happens, then you lose your objectivity as a counselor, and you can't be as effective. Of course, there will be situations that affect you more than others do, but you always have to keep in mind what is in the best interest of the client and the student, and you try to work from that perspective.
Okay. Would you sum up everything that we've talked about the counseling and testing? Is there anything that you'd just like to promote to the viewers today?
I would just like for students to be aware that there is an Office of Counseling and Testing on campus, and if they're experiencing some problems, then come by, or if they just have a question, that the information that they share with us is usually confidential, that it does not go outside that office, and that the offices very much would like to help them as much as that we can.
Well, thank you for talking with us today.
You're welcome.
I'm Lisa Stegall.
And I'm Tina Davis.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.